Jan here. Thanks for clicking on Foppy Upcycle and other sewing challenges. I was just Foppy Upcycle, but then I thought I'm having quite a few challenges with most of the things I do, and it'd be quite nice for you to see that not all sewers sail through it, if you like. I'm not sure what's going into this video. I've been filming here, filming there, taking pictures there, so I'm going to put together a video as best I can for you. Right, I don't know if I mentioned before, but Duncan gave me a sweatshirt. Not a sort of colour I would normally buy, but he was going to just get rid of it, take it to the charity shop or whatever. But I was inspired, let's say, and I'll show you. But I've got pictures. I'm going to slot them in, and as well as this, unless I decide I better just show you. But first off, let me just show you the sweatshirt. This is the colour. It's quite a colour, really a bit bland. It's not white. It's not really cream. It's just, yeah. And it was, I'll show you in the pictures, but it was a pull over the head sweatshirt. I'm always on the hunt for, because I never used to like them, but every time I go out, if I see one at a good price, which is very rare, or at the charity shop, I will look for a zip up, because I get too hot and I like to be able to unzip it, or just be able to unzip it and take it off quickly if I'm having a moment. Yeah, so I decided to cut up the front. Again, I'll show you in the photos, and put a zip in. Now, zips are very expensive in France. I don't know how much they are where you are, but I very rarely put zips in anything, because, you know, for one of those reasons, unless I've got one in my stash and I have a box with where I had zips. I bought a whole load of them, but they're only that size, so really they're no good unless I'm making a purse or a small bag or something like that. But I happen to have a few long ones, sort of metre-ish long, and so I was going through my stash looking for zips that would fit. This one is a little bit short, but it's okay for what it is. And then I suddenly realised, because it's a zip up the front, it had to be one of those that came undone. It's not just a fixed zip. And I managed to find one that was green, bright green. And I thought, oh, why not? It needs brightening up. It's a very dull top. And I'm so pleased with myself, because I've done this quite neatly. I've turned it around this way, but I will show you in the photos as well. But it was quite tricky, because obviously sweatshirt material is stretchy, and I needed to make sure the top of what was the front pocket was the same level, and that the two ends were the same level, and I done it. Really pleased. It's quite a chunky, nice zip. It's quite a bright green, I know, but for what I want it for, it's quite there you go, works. And the reason I thought myself, oh, green would be great, is because there's no real method in my madness, but the pattern on the back has got a green thing. I think this is a piece of wood, because it's about wood, but to me that is a very horrible, boring picture. So I had it in mind that I would cover all of that. So then my next thing would be, what could I cover it with and how? So I measured it, and I didn't want to go too adventurous in case, you know, it didn't work out. But I had a bag full of what they call jelly rolls that someone gave me for making quilts, and it was a green bag, if you like, a selection of green bits of material. And I decided that I would do something with that. So first thing I did was, obviously I say, measure it up, get a piece of paper the right size, which is quite big really, and then I just sat here looking at this piece of paper trying to decide what to do with it. And then I thought, well, I could, because I've got so many different greens and things, I could do a frame and another frame and just get smaller and smaller till I get to the centre and do that. And then I had to mark and measure each piece before I cut out the piece out of the fabrics. What I've got now, I've got one thing will have to change, because I did this colour, which is the main outside one, and as I cut it I realised I hadn't got enough to make 4 sides out of it, so I did another one, and I thought, oh, that'd be alright. I know I won't be able to live with that, so I'm going to have to now make another 4 for the outside. And I'll go back to my bag and see if I can find that. But I've got that one, as I say. There's this one, and there's this one. Now these are actually 5 centimetres or 6 centimetres wide, but I thought to give them a bit of stretch and strength, I'm folding them in half and stitching them round. And that might be the outside. No, it's not. Anyway, so that is that one, and this one is for the centre, just 2 together in the centre there. So it will get darker as it gets to the middle. So yeah, my next challenge, to say, is to find another fabric just to do that one frame with, and then I'll be sewing them. I'm going to get a bit of backing fabric, obviously the same size, sew them to that. And I've been watching quite a lot of slow stitching. I love it. Anybody that watches me regularly will know that I like a bit of hand sewing, and I'm really keen on. I see someone the other day, she made a tote bag and then she did something else, and just doing some slow stitching and embroidery stitches, and I thought, once that's all together, that's what I'm going to do on each join, do some stitches, and we'll see how that goes. But it might be a little while before I get that done, because if I'm going to take it down doing TV watching it might take me a few nights, so it's not going to be a fast project, but it shouldn't take too long. So once the fabric's on the back, and then I may, depending on how stable it feels, I may put some stabiliser before I embroidered it, because I've got some tearaway stabiliser, so that might help with that. So yeah, so that's my these numbers changed so many times, because I measured it and then I thought, well, I haven't allowed for like a little seam allowance, if you like, for them all to overlap. So I had to then rethink maths. I can't do maths that quickly, so it took a little while, but got there. So that's that for now. I will be filming again. Obviously you're not going to see the gap, but I will film again when I get my fabric together and once I've started, and I'll show you how I'm doing. I'll show you what I'm doing. See you in a bit. I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, I just wanted to quickly show you this. You get a rough idea, obviously that's how the sweatshirt looked before, but I'm sure you already knew that, and that just shows you the zip that I had in my stash, which is quite a chunky one, which I thought was quite suitable for the sweatshirt. This is just showing you where I'd cut it and where I'd reminded myself basically to match the top of the pockets as well as both ends of the front, and I've actually serged the edges as well to tidy those up. Here you can see I've folded back around 1 centimetre and pressed with the iron, and then put some tacking stitches in place to hold that there, while I then attempt to pin the zip in, which is always fiddly. There you go, that's pinned in. I knew it was going to be a challenge when it comes to stitching it, because obviously the pins do get in the way. I could have tacked that as well, but no, why make it easy? There you go, so I've managed to match the ends, and now at this stage I'm just praying that the fabric doesn't stretch as I sew it and move. Thankfully it didn't. Some of you that do serging will probably already do this, but I like to tidy my ends every now and then and use a darning needle and thread it in the threads into the darning needle and stitch them back through, feed them back through the serging stitches rather than leave an end. This is obviously the horrible picture that I want to be rid of. So this is just showing you the area I've got to cover, and I put 2 pieces of paper together, as I've said before, to make sure it covered it, and then my fabrics that I put together have obviously got to be the same size. God, got tired eyes. Okay, I'm quite pleased with myself so far. I've cut a backing sheet and I've placed all the pieces on that backing sheet. I've changed things slightly. The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that some of the fabrics have changed. I don't know what went wrong with my measurements. As I said, maths and me. Anyway, so I think 1 or 2 have changed. Other than that, I was folding them in half, but when I should have folded them with like 2 sides, you know, when you do it, make like a bias tape, and you fold both sides in to the middle. That's what I've done. So there's creases on the edge rather than just. So I've pinned them, pinned it all in place now, and I was going to sew it on, but I've decided I will attach the stabilizer, as I said, and then sit and hand stitch it like I said. I'm looking forward to doing that. I'll quickly show you what it's looking like at the moment, and obviously you'll get progress later. There you go. You can see here I did actually just do what I was going to do and fold it, and I've got a rough edge now, which I wish I'd not done. Not sure, I may or I may not unpick that, but it doesn't really matter because I'm probably going to be turning that under anyway. But that is what I've done so far. There's some marks on here because I've used my erasable pen on them, but so they will be gone later. But I'm quite pleased with that anyway. So lots of pins to hold it in place, and a bit of slow stitching and embroidery to come. The plan was that I was going to look up some fancy stitches, but I ended up just using ones that I knew. As you can see, I started with that one, did that all the way around. Then I went with a cross stitch, which in the past and I still do find it a little bit tricky for a simple stitch, but it didn't work out too bad. I managed to space them fairly even, and then that one is sort of a zigzag, but it's not perfect. I've not done it enough to be perfect at it, but I was quite happy with it. Okay, there we go. Obviously I'm not the most wonderful hand stitcher and that, but I think I'm quite pleased with that. And so I've still got a bit of this that should come off when I iron over it or wash it or something. But that's that. My next thing to do is to mark, because I had no idea. I'm not going to just stitch it over the top of this. I see a video the other day, someone was making a sweatshirt for making a Christmas sweatshirt. And what they done was they put some fabric behind the sweatshirt and then cut out the letters and then revealed the other fabric from behind. And I've decided that's what I'm going to do here. So what I need to do is mark as close as I can all the way down around the edge of this bit that I want to be rid of, so that on the other, with stitching, so that on the other side I will see the stitching and know where I need to cut and sew, and vice versa. I know what I'm talking about, and hopefully you'll see when I do it. Right, there you can see I marked with tailor's chalk around the outside of my patch, the embroidery, which is there. And then I've now did a running stitch all along that line, so that now when I turn over to work from the other side, you can see the stitches there all the way around as well. so I know exactly where it's going to be, both sides. This shows you where I decided to put the backing sheet on and brought it round to the front and hand stitched that to make it neat. So basically gave it a frame, as you can see there. Much better, much tidier. And there it is, pinned to the inside of the sweatshirt, ready for me to stitch it on. As you can see in the photo, I've now pinned the right side to the wrong side of the sweatshirt. I've actually done a edging. I think I probably put a picture on of that anyway. So I just edged it just to tidy it up really, and just make sure it looked nice and tidy from the inside as well. So now what I'm going to do is a row of zigzag stitching, because I'm sewing it onto obviously stretchy fabric, so just to be safe I'm putting zigzag stitch all the way around the edge. I might do 2 rows, and then I obviously need to then cut back, which I will show you. Okay, now this is where I thought I was going to do 2 rows of stitching, but I didn't need to. I didn't see in the picture. I ended up doing more of a, I don't know what you'd call it, but not a zigzag, it's more of a anyway, so you see in the picture. So now I've just got to cut just inside that line to reveal the other bit. I mean, obviously this isn't, the back of this is going to be heavier than it would be normally, because I've put a few layers on what I've sewn, but I just want that to be intact and not fray in the wash and things like that. So that's just the way it is. Right, let's find my scissors. Which pair to use? Okay, I think the best thing to do is to go in the middle. Just make sure I'm not pulling on the bit I've sewn. That's it. Just make a hole there. That's it. And then work out from there. Now I've noticed that I've still got some writing just inside. Oh well, it can't be helped. Shame I couldn't have gone a little bit higher there. That was a bit of bad judgment on my part. I should have thought of that when I was marking it. Never mind. These are all lessons we learn through our mistakes. And you learn through mine, as I always say. There. And that'd be okay. I'll show you when I'm finished. There we go. Hopefully when I look back at this film I'll be happy with it, and the fact that you're seeing this means that I was. But I've never done it before, and now I've done it I think I would do it again, so I'm quite happy with that. Ta-da!